Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Dave Rogers with Meet the Author. And I have a wonderful young artist here, an author here in Canada, Miss Erika Roldan. Hello, Erika. How are you?
Hey, Dave. How are you doing?
Fantastic. It's been nice to catch up and to actually meet you in 2020 and to have a couple of experiments with you throughout the year. And I'm really thrilled to bring you aboard for the 125 edition of Meet the Author, because I believe in the last year you've become an author. Would you like to share a little bit about yourself and the book that you wrote?
Yeah, of course. So I wrote my book in my undergrad, and it took me about 4 years to write it. It is called Speak Up, and it's about, it's a collection of short stories that situations where I should have spoken up, where I didn't. And it kind of just talks about taboo topics that people don't usually talk about that should be talked about.
Fantastic. And again, you're from Canada. Are you from abroad? What is your ethnic background?
Yeah, I'm from the Philippines, but I am born here in Canada, and my parents immigrated here.
Fantastic. So are some of your stories that you're talking about, some of the challenges about perhaps having experiences with racism or experiences with ups and downs of getting along or not getting along with people?
Yeah, so I do have, it's a collection of, I think it's 12 stories that I put there. One of them is racism, and then some of them are about suicide, depression, losing people, like grieving, as we talked about, sexuality, I guess. So things that young women experience growing up. Yeah.
Beautiful topics. In fact, I think the first time we met, we connected on topics like that, because that's when I was finishing my book, Get 2020 Vision, and there was a similarity. And I believe that was one of the kickoffs that allowed us to start talking and even sharing some of those ideas. So that's fantastic. Now, most books, as you're aware, that are bought are never fully read, right? Like I think the statistic is 83% of books that are purchased, people don't finish them.
Interesting.
So
yeah.
Let's distill your book down to a key theme. What would that key theme be?
I think that you're not alone, and that everyone's going through something, and that there's someone out there to talk to about things that you may be going through, because people have probably experienced it as well. So.
That's beautiful. This idea of listening.
Yeah.
And to know that actually I've had just in the last little while, people reach out and they've been a tough time. And it's almost like just sending some kindness and the invitation, if they want to talk, there's someone to talk to. And I think if anyone's watching that today, take that as a real key thing, that if you're feeling a little lonely, it's okay to feel lonely. And it's okay that if you want to reach out to connect with somebody, probably Erika would be a great person to reach out to. She'll make you laugh.
I wouldn't mind.
Make you smile. And again, you probably could start a new friendship. So again, any of our YouTuber friends or our Facebook friends, and Erika is active on social media. So she's active in events. So she could be a great contact there. So they'll do a little promo for you there, Erika.
Thanks, Dave.
Now, as an author or an aspiring author, what would be your one or two key tips to an aspiring author?
Nice. I feel like a lot of people probably say this, but just to start and do it. Yeah, because I feel like a lot of the times I've heard people who say, oh, I've always wanted to write my own book. Oh, I've always wanted to do this and that. But they never end up doing anything about it, or starting, like writing something small maybe. So just to start small and then move baby steps.
Well, I think you're a great example of that. The fact that you speak up, you say it took me 4 years. It was a series of articles, and that's a great invitation to people that start today. Maybe write a poem, maybe write a letter, and allow that to unfold. And whether it takes you 4 years or it might take you 4 days, that's the amazing thing about books these days. They can actually be transcribed, they can be recorded. I'm sure now with your podcast, you probably have a micro book there, or an ebook, or potentially even a book out of that already. Is that accurate?
I guess so, yeah. I'm actually thinking of transcribing it, as you said, so people can take it into a different form and rather read it rather than listen, because I know some people don't really listen to podcasts, so trying to target at that audience. Yeah.
Well, I hope that I can inspire you on that. I did 2 of those type of books. One,
Nice.
I interviewed 18 people, and just the transcription, it was all different types of deals that people can do in business. And that became a deal maker guidebook. And in fact, from selling from stage, I was able to sell it for quite a significant amount of money. And then we also did an interview book, which was really Entrepreneur X Factor, which again, 17 top entrepreneurs. We interviewed them, and then we put together a little bit of content, but mainly it's case studies and stories. So I hope that any of our listeners today take that as get started, as Erika's suggesting. That's great. Now, what are 1 or 2 ways that people can get a hold of your book?
Yeah. So one way is through Amazon. You can purchase it through amazon.ca or .com. And then another way, if you would like it to be personally signed, I would, you can send me a message or DM at any of my social media at Speak Up Erika, and I can send you over a signed copy.
Well, we'll put those in the comments below. We'll put your contacts, your Amazon contact, reach out to Erika, and that will be a way that people can definitely connect with you. That would be great. I would like to get you to visualize 2021 for a moment and think about if we could get your book into somebody's hands around the world, who would you love to get your book into their hands?
One of my favorite YouTubers. So her name is her YouTube name is Close Encounters, and
Close Encounters?
Close Encounters. Yeah, her name is Jen Im, but she has her own book club, and she's inspired me to write this book as well, just because she always gives some good advice of what books to read. So I would love to send my book out to her and send her like a personal thank you for
it. Okay, well, today we're sending out the energy to Close Encounters, Jen M. We're going to see if we can make that happen. That's what's really cool.
Awesome.
My personal little challenge is that if we can make a few of these happen, isn't that cool?
That would be so awesome.
That's a fun little experiment we're doing right now. And I guess as I bring the section to the close, again, we're doing social media, we're reaching out to people, we're inviting people to share this with folks, subscribe to your podcast. Share a little bit about your podcast, please.
Nice. Yeah. So my podcast is a continuation of my book, and it's just continuing talking about these topics that are difficult to say to other people. So that's my podcast is Speak Up as well. And it features solo episodes of myself speaking up about my own personal experience, and also featuring guests and sharing their experience as well. So Dave was actually one of my first podcast guests. So kind of crazy thinking about it. It was a while
I think
ago
it was
now,
the
right,
first,
Dave?
because I think we were talking about it and said, let's just do it. We'll get the first one out of the way. And that's one of the things that when you meet people, like when I met Erika, it was very much like that. It was about a connection and then a potential collaboration, and then just do it. And so maybe if that might inspire somebody today, that just do something, reach out to Erika, reach out to me. Well, most likely if we have the time, and often we make the time because that's what type of people we are. What was your favorite topic or favorite learning that you had in 2020?
For my podcast or just overall?
For your life, for your podcast, but what would sort of pop up for you?
I think something that I guess summarizes 2020 for me is that privilege, and that I just feel very privileged. Just even if the small things, that like having my own room is a privilege for me, or being able to breathe, because some people who are experiencing the virus can't do that, right? So I think noticing and acknowledging my privilege.
It's beautiful. I think that brings in a sense of humility and a groundedness and hopefully gratitude, that again gives you that ability to have the ups and downs, yet you can go back to that grounding foundation.
Yeah.
Erika, thank you so much for your time today. Continued success in your studies, in your adventures, in your businesses, in your reaching out and encouraging people to speak up.
Thank you so much, Dave.
Have a great one.
You too.